At the Peabody Public Library. Present is Clarence Shaw, the veteran being interviewed. I am Janet Skank from the Peabody Public Library, the director of the library. Mr. Shaw, what branch of the service did you serve in? What branch of the service did you serve in?
I was in artillery.
Artillery, in Army, Navy?
Army.
In the Army?
Yeah.
And what war did you serve in?
What?
What war was it?
World War II.
World War II. Mr. Shaw, were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I was drafted, yeah.
You were drafted. And where were you living when you were drafted?
I lived at Columbia City Route 2.
You lived in Columbia City,
yeah.
in Whitley County. Did you get to pick what branch you went into?
What?
Did you get to pick what branch that you went into?
No, when I was drafted, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and artillery.
How'd you feel about being drafted?
Yeah, I had to go.
Was there a boot camp there?
What?
Boot camp? What did they train? Did they train you in
Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
In Fort Sill?
Yeah.
And what kind of things did you do there when you first went to Fort Sill?
Oh, I was in the radio section, and we learned to operate the radios that we had, and went out on field trips with radio for clerk batteries and things like that, and used communication back to the fort.
Okay. How about your instructors while you were there? Do you remember them?
What?
The instructors that were there, do you remember those people? The instructors. The people that were training you.
One was Corporal Headkey. I do know that, and I can't think of the sergeant's name. That was the head of the barracks. I can't think of his name, but Corporal Headkey was one of the main corporals that we had.
Were they tough on you?
Not really, I didn't think.
It's a little different than living at home, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little different. Cause
had you been away from home much before that?
Not a whole lot, no. Just overnight, something like that.
And so you served in World War II. After your Oklahoma, you said, right? You went to Oklahoma?
What?
You were in Oklahoma? You were first drafted?
Fort Sill.
Fort Sill. Where did you go after that?
Well, I went to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Okay. After I took the basic training, went and joined the regular outfit there, Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
And did you receive more training there?
Yeah, we went to school always at Mississippi Radio Operators. We went to school about every day, except Saturday and Sunday. And I was there at Camp Shelby, and then the outfit moved to Fort Bragg in North Carolina, from Shelby then.
Did you stay in, once you joined an outfit, did you stay in that outfit?
Yeah.
That was your outfit for the duration of the war?
Yeah, once I got in the regular outfit, I stayed in it, yeah.
Oh, let's see. How long were you in Mississippi?
About 3 months, I'd say.
3 months. And then you went up to Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg, yeah.
And how long were you there?
Huh?
How long were you there?
That was our base camp at Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay. Were you married at the time? Had you married yet?
No, I wasn't married at that time.
You weren't married, okay.
Got married in 43, I think it was, yeah.
Is that someone that from this area, did you meet her while you were on duty?
What?
Was that someone from the Whitley County, Columbia City area, or did you meet her while you were out either in Carolina or Mississippi or where? The person that you married, where did you meet her? The person that you married, where did you meet her?
She was from Columbia City.
She was from Columbia City?
From this area, yeah.
You knew her before you left for the war? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. After North Carolina, where did you go?
What?
After North Carolina, or the Carolinas, Fort Bragg?
Well, we went in Tennessee maneuvers. Well, I went in as a radio operator for the umpires in 42. Then my outfit went in 43, and then we went from there to California. Then California back to Camp Shanks on the East Coast, and went overseas over to Europe then.
Went to Europe. When you went to Europe, where did you go in Europe first?
We went into England first.
Went into England? Do you remember where in England you were at?
Huh?
Where in England you were at?
Winchester was the first town that I think that we went to.
And is that where you stayed?
No, we went, we called it Agony Hill, out in the fields, and stayed out in the fields until we went over into France.
And what kind of things did you do while you were in England, both for duty?
Oh, we done our regular training that we done, fired guns, and see, we was 155 howitzer, and we went out and fired those. And I worked with Captain McQueen most of the time. He always asked for me as a radio operator, and I usually worked with him in England and in the States too.
So you were firing guns? You were trained to fire guns?
I was a radio operator.
Okay. Okay. Tell me, what did, as a radio operator, what did you do? Tell me how well that worked.
We sent fire commands back to the guns, and communication with other outfits and stuff like that.
I see. While you were in England, and if you weren't on duty doing that, what kind of things did you do there? What kind of things did you do in England when you weren't on duty?
When we weren't on
duty? You know, when you weren't supposed to be out doing your training and things like that. Well, your time off.
Stayed around the camp where we was at, or maybe went in town for a movie or something like that.
Did you?
But,
did you find it a lot different than Columbia City?
Oh yeah.
How was that? How was it different than Columbia City?
Well, I don't know. The houses seemed a lot different. They were a lot of older houses. They were dated 1700 some on the plaques they had in the eaves. They'd have the date that they were built. A lot of them, and some of them was 1700 and some.
Was it the same kind of food you were used to eating?
Well, we had our own food, but
were you fed well?
Huh?
Were you fed well?
Yeah, we had good eats. The Army gave us pretty good feeds.
Did you meet any locals? How about the locals? Did you get to interact with some of the locals there?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
Some of them did, I guess, but I didn't. You'd ask them directions. You didn't know when they got done, or you didn't know what they was talking about anyway.
A little difficult, huh?
Yeah, you take a right turning and go down so far, make a left turning, and walk in circles about.
So you're in England. Did you stay in the same place in England the whole time you were there?
Huh?
Did you stay in the same place in England?
Yeah, we stayed at the same camp after we got situated.
How did you communicate with your family?
Just write letters.
Write letters?
Yeah.
How often did you get letters?
Oh, it did depend. Sometimes you'd get a letter that would be, they wrote maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. You'd get it about in 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes you'd get them just in just a few days. But,
did your family, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It depends, I suppose, on when it was sent and how soon they sent it across overseas.
Did your family receive your letters
Yeah,
regularly?
they
didn't have any problems with that?
Yeah.
I got most of them. Okay. After England, where did you go?
We went into France,
Was that on D-Day?
just a few days after.
A few days after.
I think about D10, something like that.
Okay. Okay. And how did you get over to France?
By boat.
By a boat? Boat took you over?
Yeah, they had landing crafts and stuff like that. And
So where in France did you go, land? Where in France did you land?
well, the first town that I can remember of was Saint Jean de Day, as a little burg, and that's where I picked up a German flag, the swastika, and I kept it. And I still got it.
Did you meet much Did you meet resistance there when you first went in? Did you meet resistance?
We had the first casualty that first night.
You did.
He got hit in the leg, but he went back to the States then, and he was sent to a hospital close to his home out in South Dakota, I think that's where he was from. And,
Did you have many casualties in your unit?
what?
Did you have many casualties in your unit?
I don't remember just how many. We didn't have any killed,
None killed.
but we had several injured by shells and stuff. And, I don't know, there must have been about 15, 20 of us that got injured.
You were injured in the war?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
They missed me.
When was this then? Do you remember the year? That was 19.
What?
What year would this have been then? 19. That you went into France. The year that you went into France. 1944.
44. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got into France and saw some battle. Where'd you go after that? I mean, how'd you head after that?
We headed up into Belgium and into Holland, and next to the British on the Holland deal, and went in near Aachen, Germany, and through the north.
Through the north.
That way we was on the north edge.
How long did it take you to get to Germany? Do you remember from the time you got to France, you got into Germany?
No, not really. It was in the last of October when we went in.
Okay.
We went in one town of Holland, and then into Germany, and back to this other town, the town we was in, and then on in.
Did you take trains or walked, or did you take trains, or did you have to walk?
We had trucks and
Trucks.
stuff.
You were
And,
transported by trucks.
Yeah, we was artillery, and they pulled the big guns with trucks, and we had headquarters battery was the communication for the whole battalion. And we worked with higher headquarters and that, and battalion that we was in.
Did you get to meet many of the locals while you were going from Holland to Germany?
Yeah, I met the family. We was in I can't think. I think it was Hilleheide or something like that, Holland, in a big school. The school was fenced in like this, and the school sat here. You went in the front door, and then the back was all closed in, fenced. We was in there, and I met a little Dutch girl and her brother. I think she was 9 the day after we went in Holland. So I told them, showed them on the watch to come about 11 o'clock, and I had that. We got our rations of candy, you know, and cigarettes and stuff like that in the morning, and I told them to come about 11 o'clock, and I give her a candy bar and her brother, you know, and then she went home just happy. And that night, we stayed in this schoolhouse, and we was in line for to eat, waiting to go through the chow line. This little girl was there at the fence. She kept like this and pointing, you know. And one guy said, "I think that little kid wants you." And I went over to see what she wants. She give me a bottle of whiskey. Her dad made whiskey. So about every time I seen him, he gave me a bottle of whiskey. And the first sergeant, he wanted to know if I seen the Dutchman. Because he liked his whiskey.
Okay.
He said come back when grapes and stuff was ripe. He'd make some good stuff. He had applejack. That's what he called it. What he gave us that fall, that evening, or winter, was the applejack. But he says, get back in September and that when the grapes and stuff was right, you'd have some good whiskey.
Did you get to go back then?
I seen him, one of the boys got hit, and they sent him back to the hospital, and when he come back to the outfit, he was allowed 3 days, and the first sergeant sent me back with him, and we went back to this little Dutch town where he was at, and I seen him, and he was there, and we'd go to the canteen, and they had Coke stuff, you know, and we'd go there, and he said, well, go back to the house, and his wife would have something to eat. About 9 o'clock in the morning, and at noon, and about 3 o'clock, and that evening at supper, why, she had a chicken fixed and mashed potatoes and stuff, and we told him it was like a meal our mother would make at home, you know. That made her feel pretty good. But I've seen him several times.
So you're in Germany. Let's go back. You're in Germany. How long did you spend in Germany? Where did you go? What were your travels in Germany like?
Well, we went in at Aachen, and I can't think of the names of all of the towns we went, but we ended up at Magdeburg, just a few miles out of Magdeburg. I went in to visit my brother-in-law in Magdeburg when the war was over. I seen him in there.
Now, was he serving in the war? He was serving in the war, your brother-in-law?
Yeah, he joined. Well, it was just right at the time we crossed the Rhine River, I guess, into Germany. I think is when he went in and went through into Magdeburg.
How'd you know he was there?
Huh?
How'd you know he was there?
Oh, write letter. And wife wrote to me and
really?
Stuff
I
like
thought
that.
you weren't allowed to give out where you guys were.
Huh?
I thought you weren't allowed to tell anybody where you were.
Well, we find out by communication. One guy said he was going to one company, and I said, well, I'll go along. I'll go to this other company where he was at. We know, see, he'd write to his folks, and then my wife would write me, tell me where he was at, you know, or what outfit he was with, and you knew pretty well.
There are ways to get around that.
Yeah. Because we followed them most of the time, the outfit that he was in, the 30th Division, we followed that most of the time.
So you knew what division he was in, and then you knew what division he was in, and you knew what the division was.
We knew where he was at. And,
when you crossed the Rhine, you said you crossed the Rhine. Was that a big thing?
huh?
Crossing the Rhine, was that a big thing?
Well, yeah. We had what they called a weasel, a track vehicle. We couldn't cross with the regular outfit, so we stayed back with service battery, and we had a bunch of chickens pinned up, so we killed them and fixed them the cooks fixed them, and we crossed the Rhine. Why, the outfit I wasn't wide enough to set on the tracks like it should, and one track rode up like this on the middle of the tracks that they had across there, and the other fella, he stood ahead of me and told me which way to pull to keep it on the track to cross. And we was about a day and a half then from the time we crossed the Rhine till we caught up with our outfit. And it was up pretty close to Holland, Germany then.
Okay. Where did you go after that then? Where did you go after that?
What do you mean?
You said you got to Pattern, Germany?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you go after that?
That was near Magdeburg.
That was where Magdeburg, where you guys,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I understand, okay.
That's where we was bivouacked at.
Excuse me. And how close to the end of the war was this now?
Huh?
How close to the end of the war was this?
It was just right at the end of the war.
Right at the very end of the war? Did you go any further than that then?
Huh?
Did you go any further than that? Did you go?
We went into Magdeburg, but that was it.
That's as far as you got?
Yeah. They met the Russians at one Elbe River, I believe it was,
Yeah.
or something, the river in Magdeburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
when they met the Russians.
That's where you met the Russians. Did you get to actually meet the Russians?
I didn't.
Okay.
See, I was artillery, and we was back anywhere from maybe 1 to 3 mile back behind.
Oh. So you didn't go any further then into Germany once you met the Russians? You didn't go any further into Germany once you met the Russians?
We went to Magdeburg when the war ended.
Oh, that's where you were when the war ended?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Magdeburg, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what you were doing when you heard that the war ended?
Huh?
What were you doing when you got word that the war ended?
Gosh, I don't know, sitting there, I guess, just
sitting.
waiting.
Just waiting? Did you have any idea that the war was going to end?
Huh?
Did you have any idea that
Yeah, we knew pretty well that they was, because we'd meet, there were a lot of prisoners they had, which were civilians that they had working in camps, work, doing the work, Russian people that they had working, and we met. One line must have been about 2 miles long. It was just nothing but Russian civilians that they had. There's anywhere from young kids to old people in the line going. They were heading back, walking back towards Russia.
And had they been taken from Russia?
Huh?
Had they been taken from
Yeah,
Russia?
they was taken and used as slave labor.
Oh.
They'd put them in factories to work, make shells and stuff like that. And there one time we got shelled in France that I'd say maybe 1 out of 6 would blow up. That the Russians would work in the munition factory, would stick a piece of wood or something in the fuse so that when it hit, it wouldn't go into the powder.
Really?
Yeah, they had done a lot of sabotage like that. Saved a lot of lives.
Sounds like it. Did you get to talk to any of the Russians? Did you get to talk to any of the Russians that were going back to Russia?
I couldn't understand.
Couldn't understand them language.
No.
Okay.
Once in a while you might find one that could speak English, but
So the war ended, and then did they send you right back to the United States?
no, we was in France for a little while and then went to England before we come back.
So you had to go back to England. So then where did they send you in the United States? From England to the United States. Where in the United States did you go?
I'm not sure what Camp Shanks. I don't think that was the one we come back to, but it was in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
And,
Is that where you were discharged from?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were sent from there to Camp Atterbury and discharged.
Camp Atterbury.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was about 5, 6 days maybe from the time we hit the States till we was civilians.
Really? That
It
quick?
wasn't too long.
Wasn't long at all. How'd you get from Camp Atterbury? How'd you get back to Columbia City?
Hitchhiked.
You hitchhiked.
Yeah, that dude.
That's interesting. How long did that take you to get back?
Well, I got right into Indianapolis, and then from there I got a bus. Caught a bus at Indianapolis and got home.
No compensation. Now you were married during the war, then, right?
Yeah.
You were married. Was that before or after you went to Europe?
Before I went to Europe.
Before you went into Europe. Were you married here in Columbia City? Did you get to come here, or did your wife have to go to you?
I don't remember whether you got married in South Carolina, I think.
South Carolina?
Yeah.
That was before. Okay, it was before you shipped
Before
over.
we went overseas, yeah.
What did your wife do while you were in the war?
Huh?
What was your wife doing while you were overseas?
She worked at Horton's, I think, here in Columbia or Fort Wayne.
What was Horton's?
Huh?
What was Horton's?
Horton's.
What was that? Was it a
I
factory?
don't know,
store?
but she worked on some shell casings, I think.
Oh.
I don't know. They were working on some war material, I guess. But
Did you have any children by then?
I had one
You had one child?
daughter.
A daughter? Okay. After you got home, did you get a job right away?
Not for about 6 months or more before I went in for a job. Helped my father-in-law shuck his corn and stuff like that, and went coon hunting and stuff, and then got a job
Where'd you get a job at?
at South Whitley,
Doing where?
at Gripnut at South Whitley.
Okay. Did your service in the war give you any training that helped you with any of your jobs?
Oh, I don't know. I was a radio operator. I had code, Morse code.
Uh-huh.
So I don't say that it did.
Did you get to join any of the organizations like the American Legion or the VFW?
What?
Did you join any the American Legion?
American Legion and VFW both.
Both of them you joined? And
Yeah.
have you been active in those groups?
Oh, I go once in a while, not too often.
Were you able to take advantage of any of the GI Bill benefits?
Not really.
Okay. And Mr. Shaw, you have an
You had to be injured mostly, I think, to get anything out of them.
Okay. You have a fascinating story, and before we end this, I'd like to ask you: is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Anything that happened, or?
I don't know. Not that I can think of.
Okay, that's fine. Well, then we really appreciate you coming in and telling us the story. Thank you.